Hello and welcome to this latest video on my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the four most famous or four very famous manufacturers for Hereke silk rugs. Hereke silk rugs in general are probably the most collectible and most valuable silk rugs, handmade silk rugs in the world, and those pieces from such manufacturers are even more valuable and even more collectible because of their rarity and of their quality. Silk rugs from manufacturers usually have a reliably higher quality because they really find the best weavers, the best designers, the best materials to create perfect silk rugs. Yeah, so I have all these examples here, and I'm going to show examples and everything about all those four manufacturers. I'm going to introduce you, and I also have one regular Hereke, regular because it's not signed by a special manufacturer. And just to see the comparison, so regular Hereke silk rugs have the signature usually in one of the four corners inside the rug, and it just says Hereke like here. And manufacturer pieces usually have their signature in the border of the carpet, and it doesn't only say Hereke, it also says the name of the manufacturer. So here you can see, for example, this is a beautiful piece, but it does have some imperfections, such as this brighter line, which was the case because the weaver ran out of wool and of silk, and then he used another silk of a brighter color, and then he continued with the old silk again. So those imperfections are something you won't find in manufactured pieces, because they really planned everything ahead and really created perfect silk rugs. So this is a regular Hereke silk carpet, and now I'm going to start with those manufactured pieces, and I'm going to start with the most famous manufacturer that most Hereke collectors know, which is Ozipek or Ozipek. These four pieces here, this one, this one, this one, and this one, are all four Hereke Ozipek pieces with a very high knotting density of 13 knots per square centimeter, or 13 knots per centimeter, which is per inch. Not very sure, but way over 30 knots. And extremely fine pieces with beautiful patterns, strong colors, and you can see the signature here on the top, which is Ozipek Hereke. And special about Ozipek pieces are their unusual patterns, very strong colors, and these really beautiful borders, which are always with those flower lines. Yeah, these are Ozipek rugs. Next, I'm gonna introduce you to Cinar or Cinar, which is also a very famous manufacturer. They have two locations. They have rugs produced in Hereke, which are the finer ones, and then they also have rugs produced in Istanbul, and then the signature says Hereke Cinar Istanbul, and they have a bit lower knotting density. They have two different signatures. They either have the signature in Latin letters, which it says Cinar or Cinar, and then they have the Arabic signature, which says Cinar Hereke. They're both equally valuable and fine. It's just these ones were made more for the export to European countries or Western countries or American to the US, and those pieces with Arabic signatures were mainly made for other countries like Turkey or Arabic countries. So this is the main difference, but there is no difference in quality or value. These also similar to Ozipek, strong colors, beautiful patterns, and really high knotting densities. These two pieces also come with a 13 by 13 weave, which is incredibly fine. Next, I'm going to show you a very special manufacturer, which is Korhan. Korhan carpets are a bit rarer, a bit more rare than Ozipek or Cinar pieces because they didn't produce in such amounts. And what's also very special about Korhan is that they specialized on extremely fine productions that were even finer than most Ozipek or Cinar pieces, and they even held the world record for the finest handmade carpet in the world for quite a long time. And these pieces I have this piece And I have this framed piece, both by Korhan. The signature looks like this. It just says Korhan. There is not even Hereke inside the signature. Here the signature's inside the rug, very decent and small. And yeah, these pieces have an incredibly high knotting density of 20 knots per centimeter, which is really one of the highest knotting densities you will find in any handmade rugs. So just as a comparison, 30 knots is already very, very fine. It's considered one of the finest pieces in the world, and here it's just so much finer. Just put it next to each other. See the difference. The knots of this 20 by 20 piece, you can barely see them with your own eye, and this is really something very, very rare and very valuable. So pieces by Korhan are very small and very expensive, and very collectible. Beautiful pieces, and yeah, Korhan, Hereke Korhan is the name. Korhan started the production a bit later than Ozipek and Cinar. They both started in the 70s or even 60s. Korhan started in the 90s, producing those super fine carpets. It's not as famous and known as those other two, but it's even more collectible, and yeah, they're even harder to find. And last but not least, I'm going to show you the Derin manufacture. Derin was one of the first manufacturers for Hereke silk carpets. They're very collectible pieces. They're also not as easy to find as Ozipek or Cinar. And this is also the piece we're most proud of, because it's the most valuable piece in our whole collection, which is this very big Derin with a hunting pattern, very vivid motifs, and a very, very clean weave. It also has golden metal brocade weaved inside the pattern. It's really shiny, you can see it here. So these are like metal threads, golden metal threads, here or here, and they just make this piece absolutely stunning. Yeah, and pieces of this quality and this size are really, really rare to find, because they usually weren't produced in such sizes, because it was just extremely costly to produce them. It took a very long time. So this piece is probably the most valuable piece I have, and by far the most valuable piece I have shown you here. And yeah, it's a really, really special piece, and also in perfect condition, which is also not not very often to find, especially with Derin, because Derin, as I said, is one of the first manufacturers of Hereke silk carpets, and these pieces are really old. This piece is at least 40 years old, and they even have pieces which are like 60 or 70 years old, because they started producing Hereke silk rugs very early. And this is the second piece, also with a very vivid pattern, a bit smaller of course, and same signature. So the signature looks like this. It just says Derin Hereke. Here you have the same one, Derin Hereke. This is the typical signature for Hereke Derin carpets. Yes, that's all about the four most famous, or four very famous manufacturers of Hereke silk carpets. And as always, all these rugs are available in our online shop or via direct contact. You can find the links in the description. On our website, you will also find, for example, one very interesting blog article about with a list of all the famous weavers or manufacturers of all the famous carpet regions, such as Hereke, but also Persian carpet regions like Isfahan, Tabriz, Qom, and all these pieces, which can be very informative and interesting for collectors. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope to see you in the next video.